What up? What up, my guys? Welcome to another show, man. NBA Talk with Jay Money, powered by WagetTalk every single day, man. Go use promo code J1 at WagetTalk.com if you've never got a package over there for a full package of plays for less than $1. Not just $1, some cents over there, man. Less than $1. Today, we have our guy, Rob Veno, here, man. What's up with you, Rob? Glad to have you on the show.
I am glad to be here, Jay. Glad to hook up with you finally. Hopefully, like we were talking off air, we can make a little something out of these Mondays with the NBA. But yeah, I'm glad to be here. It's a funny league, right? You have to. We're talking a little bit early in the day with NBA because, like I always say, you handicap these things in the morning. You could throw that in the garbage by the afternoon and in the garbage one more time by nighttime. It's a crazy league to follow, but it's been good to me the last 3 years. So.
Yeah. If y'all don't know, man, Rob Veno is that guy. Y'all go check him out at WagerTalk.com. Rob is that guy, man. Ski knows about him, man. But it's all business here. We'll get down to it. Obviously, the NBA it's all about finding your spots. There's going to be injuries, so sometimes you kind of just have to go with what you know, man. But it's all business here on this show, Rob. As you know, first game up, man. We got the Pelicans here versus the Cavs. This line was at 10 last night. It was down to 8.5 this morning. Now down to 7.5. I'll be honest with you, Rob. When I was looking at this game, I'm like, it's too many points for the Cavs. I know that they coming off a bad game yesterday versus the Pistons. I'm watching the game, and the Pistons really got physical with those guys. Obviously, the Cavs are some ballers, one of the top teams in the East. But the Pelicans are 8-3 against the spread last 11 meetings between these teams. We know there's some injury news that's going to come in later in the day with Ingram and Valanciunas here. Rob, you like anything in this game?
Yeah, those injuries for New Orleans, they make a difference, right, Jay? I mean, Valanciunas against this front line would be important for New Orleans for sure. Brandon Ingram hasn't played in quite a while. Thing is, I don't know how effective either one would be if they went tonight. They've been off a little bit, especially Ingram. So we'll see. I know one thing. You talked about Detroit getting a little physical with Cleveland, and it caught the attention of their point guard, Darius Garland, who was none too thrilled with his teammates. A couple of quotes out of him talking about, and I'll paraphrase here, how they got off real quick and the team thought it was going to be a cakewalk, and it's unacceptable to play that way and not give 4 quarters. So I expect 48 minutes of basketball out of the Cavs tonight. They're not the greatest offensive team in the world, but they certainly can play defense. And if Valanciunas isn't there to go, front line becomes very, very difficult. And New Orleans hasn't shot the ball particularly well. And they still don't have a good 3-point shooting team. I like what Willie Green's done. Brought some of the Phoenix principles to New Orleans. It's a shame he hasn't had Zion all season long. I'm going to wait a little bit on this one. But if I don't see Valanciunas, it's hard, Jay, because the lines, once Valanciunas, if he's announced in or out, the line's going to fluctuate. Either we go up or down one way or the other. So a lot of guesswork here. But I like what Garland had to say. I might lean a little Cleveland, maybe first half, thinking they'll get out of the chute quick here.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you on that, Rob. And we know that the Cavs been the best first quarter team in the league, whether they're on the road, whether they're at the house. The Cavs just seem to clean teams up, man, on that first quarter, mainly first halves as well. And what I think it is, teams aren't necessarily ready for that defense. Like the Cavs really play some good defense. They lost Lauri Markkanen, they lost Colin Sexton, and this team, even Dean Wade, he's coming in there at the 3 spot now. So this team they really can lock up on you defensively, especially to start the game. And I really think that's a surprise to some teams. Even though I lean the Pelicans could possibly cover this game, full game, obviously with the Cavs being on the back-to-back. But like you say, you're looking at the quotes. I'm sure they're going to be pissed coming out losing to one of the worst teams in the East, and they're looked at as one of the top teams in the East. So obviously they come off a little letdown game versus the Bucks there, but still you can't be losing games to the Pistons. I would lean to the Cavs in the first quarter in this one as the game goes on. If the Pelicans have anything, they could possibly come back late in the game. And I was going to ask you about that, Rob. With this coming down from 10 to 7.5, you think that they know something, or is that kind of saying that maybe Valanciunas and Ingram are coming back today? What do you think about that?
Right. The third guy on that list was Josh Hart, who's been playing but was listed as questionable. I think he's going to go, and maybe that had some slight movement, but I'm with you. When you see it come down that much, a lot of times somebody knows a little something. I'm going to say this real quick. These teams played one time already this season. Now, in that game, Jared Allen didn't play for Cleveland. The Cavs got off to a big start, 39-20, much like what happened yesterday against Detroit. And you know what? They wound up losing that game, 108-104. So if it plays that way, I think everything you and I have both said here, Cavs early, Pelicans late. I'm going to wait a little bit on the injuries, but just thought that was interesting that they got off to that quick start and let this one slide away the first time they played.
Yeah, that's a damn good point. Like I say, Cavs here in the first quarter would be probably one of my best plays on this game. It's not something that I've bet yet, but the Cavs first quarter is really the gift that keeps giving. You can't just blindly take anything, but with this being a back-to-back, then possibly fizzling out later into the game and being pissed off, I would definitely look towards Cavs in the first quarter in this one. I must say full game, especially last night. I was looking at that 10. I'm like, man, the Pelicans the only way I could look in that one, Rob. Let's go over here to the streets of Indiana, man. We got the Pacers versus the Clippers. I was on the Hornets yesterday versus the Clippers, man. The Hornets couldn't get to their pace. They didn't hit their shots, but regardless, they had no excuses. The Clippers came to play, and they've been balling over here on this East Coast road trip. One thing I'd say, I know that the public is probably going to be all over the Clippers here. You still have to look deeper into these games. I mean, you can't necessarily just go off bias. Even though the Clippers playing well, these are still some dead zone type of spots, man. So this is, in theory, you do find it's tough to ride with the Pacers right now, Rob. But this is a spot that I wouldn't be so quick to back the Clippers here. You got a revenge spot for the Pacers. They lost 139-133 in LA. Like I say, they need a bounce back game at the house after giving up 158 points the last time out, and they came and talked about it as well. Man, we can't do the fans like that. We just played terrible. They didn't give out any energy. It's tough to back this Pacers team, but what I'm saying is I just wouldn't be so quick to back the Clippers here. This is the third game in 4 nights on the road, fifth game in 7 nights, and it's a back-to-back. And it's the last game of an 8-game grueling road trip here. So we'll see what happens. Can the Clips continue to bring that magic? But I must say, Rob, it's Pacers are nothing for this better.
Yeah, and I'd probably look total here, Jay. It's been pushed up a little bit, 218, 221 now. I still don't know if it's enough. As you mentioned, they just played recently. The game hit 272, 139, 133. Some numbers on the Pacers real quick. 6 of their last 8 have gone over. All 6 that went over hit 223 or better. So that's more than what we're asked to, lay for a total here if we play over. They've scored 113 or more in 6 of their last 8. Certainly no problem scoring, even when the backups, when the entire second unit was starting. They've gotten guys back since then. Karis LeVert's come back. Sabonis has come back on down the line. Everybody but Brogdon. But 113 plus in 6 of the last 8. And the defense has just been terrible. 112 or more in 11 of the last 13 games. Justice Winslow, not the guy you'd look to from the Clippers for a quote, but it was interesting to see him say how happy the team is. They play together. They share the basketball. They're just out there having fun. The offense is flowing. You talked about how worn out they could be from this road trip. They're at the end of it. And I think that kind of leads towards a little lack of defense when that happens to teams. So for me, I kind of agree with the total move here. And I think it's still playable at 221. So it's probably something I'll be on today over 221 Clippers Pacers.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And like I say, with the Clippers as well, so they can play some really good defense, but as far like you say, it may be less defense today. And we know that sometimes with teams on the back-to-back, they'd rather win the game with their offense and not necessarily with their defense. We know that the Pacers will be run up and down the floor. I definitely will look toward the over this one. You don't bet unders in Pacers games right now. They're not playing a lick of defense. They're basically just let you score and try to go back and score down you on the other side. So definitely look toward the over in this one. Hey, the Clippers could get there. Anything can happen. I'm not betting this game, but this is a terrible spot for them. Obviously, they've been playing with a lot of momentum and playing together, and they could go a long way here. But just talking about NBA spots, this would, in theory, be a fade spot for the Clippers here. But, hey, I understand people going with recency bias. The Clippers been balling lately. I can understand it, my guys. I definitely could. Let's go over here to the streets of Philadelphia, man. I had to switch up the point spread here. I had this set up last night. Last night, it was Grizzlies plus 3.5, and the Sixers laying 3.5. All I had to do was go mess with the minus and the plus real quick, Rob, because obviously we know Joel Embiid is out. This was a benchmark game. I'm reading the beat writers. They're on the Athletic. They're saying this is a benchmark game for the Sixers to really show where they're at. Obviously, some lackluster games at the house. You always worry about the Sixers' motivation here, man. You got the Grizzlies 14-3 against the spread last 17 road games, Rob. They are 1-4 against the spread last 5 in Philly, but the Sixers are 7-0 against the spread last 7 off ATS loss. But Embiid has been one of the most important players for their team this year, and we know he's going for MVP. Surprised to see him rest this game out. What do you think? Could the Grizzlies still get there on the -3.5?
Well, it certainly does change things, right? When you see a 7-point move like that. I'll say this. They played once before in Memphis, 35-point Grizzly win, 126-91. Now, to our point, how it applies to today, Embiid didn't play in that game either. So he's not going to see the Grizzlies this year. However, John Morant didn't play in that game, and they still won by 35. They had Dylan Brooks. But I think, the way Ja's playing right now, certainly he's put a bullseye on Memphis's chest because they played so darn well, and he's been very vocal about it. I think that the Philadelphia point guard situation, going to have a tough time with him. I mean, Tyrese Maxey looks to me, and I'm in southeastern Pennsylvania, right outside of Philadelphia, so we see a lot of coverage of these guys here. Tyrese Maxey, to me, looks like the point guard of the future for this team. Come from absolutely left field to earn this spot, but I don't know that Philly wants to mess with that, but it's what's behind him. If I'm Memphis and I'm coaching this game, I want Ja out there a few minutes when Furkan Korkmaz is your point guard or when Seth is your point guard. I just don't know that the backcourt for Philly matches up. And of course, to me, Joel Embiid this year is the least flawed player in the NBA. You just can't find a weakness in his game, and he's taken advantage of every spot where he was supposed to. Here they don't have him. They look to him. I don't know where they look. If Philly, for the most part, Jay, outside of Maxey, it's not a team that gets their own shots. Seth is a spot-up shooter. Tobias doesn't really get his – he can get aggressive, but he doesn't always. You got Danny Greens and Korkmaz's. I don't know. The athletic side is Memphis here. I don't want to lay 3.5, and I don't know what to do with the total. It's funny. It has not moved whatsoever, even without Embiid. And I think that speaks to they feel like this is going to be a pace game. When Joel's not in there, Philly tends to go. However, how fast can you go with Andre Drummond at center, right? So it's a weird game right now without Embiid in there. I guess if I had to look, Memphis has been they've both been red hot, but I just don't like Philly without Embiid. When it comes down to it and they need a go-to guy and it's not there for them, I don't know where they get those points from.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that. I'll be honest. I took the Grizzlies this morning plus 2.5, money line plus 105. But like I said, it wasn't anything heavy. It's just I saw the news and I hopped on it quick. But I already liked the Grizzlies before that, though. It's Grizzlies are nothing for me in this spot. Obviously, this team has been playing with their heads on fire, man. I mean, you talk about a team like the Cavs. They come to play every single day, obviously playing with a chip on their shoulder, trying to win every single game. So there's part of me, Rob, this is my problem with the NBA today. And especially with the news coming out so quick. Now you get the Grizzlies. Oh, okay. Oh, now we don't have Embiid out there. So do you come to play as motivated? I can't stand it, to be honest with you. It really bothers me inside. But the Grizzlies, if there was one team that comes to play regardless of who's out there, it's teams like the Grizzlies and the Cavs. Like I say, with it flipping, I'm not laying the -3.5 with the Grizzlies, especially on the road. And like I said, they are 1-4 against the spread last 5 in Philly. Obviously, you won't have Embiid out there. This is, like you said, they smacked them up already earlier this year, 126-91 in Memphis. So it's Grizzlies or nothing for me here. I just can't stand the whole motivation thing. They send this way early in the day. Hopefully they don't come in here thinking that it'll be easy. Obviously Drummond can still pack the paint or whatever and block some shots. Yeah. So we'll see how Morant is up against that. But you won't be getting much offense out of Andre Drummond, that's for sure. So you're missing that MVP caliber type of player for the Sixers, and it's why it's still Grizzlies or nothing for me. The 76ers have actually been a lot better on the road. At the house, you see them get down by teams like 11, by teams like the Orlando Magic, 11 at the half. They were just down by the Kings as well, getting smacked up before what happened. Embiid comes in and said, we're not losing to this team. He takes over. You won't have that today. So like Rob said, you're going to have to rely on Tyrese Maxey, Seth Curry, Tobias Harris having to earn his money today. Let's see what happens. I don't think it'll be super easy, guys, for the Grizzlies. That's why I'm not laying at 3.5. But if you got the early number, Hey, we rocking with it, man. We rocking with it. That's the only way I can look. It's Grizzlies in this one. Let's go over here to this Celtics spot here, Rob. Man, I kind of had to pick the green jacket on. This is my Mavs jacket, man, but I got the green on today. I hopped on the Celtics this morning -3. It's up to 4. I like it, man. I'm on the Celtics today. Official play -4. This is a step up game for the Celtics here, guys. They're going against the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Where do they sit at right now? They're the number 9 seed. This is damn near a must-win game if you're trying to get in the playoffs, trying to make some noise. Now it's only a few games separating them. There's 6 wins behind them, but a combined 10.5 games. I just feel like you got to come out here to play these games, man. They like I said, currently sit at 9th place. The Heat off an exhausting triple overtime loss. Obviously, it would have been better if they won the game, but Jimmy Butler played 52 minutes in that game, Rob. There's no question. I see why he's questioning this game. The guy just played damn near a couple of games combined. I see this being a letdown spot for the Heat. They are one of the better teams this year, coming off a loss, 7-0 against the spread. But I just don't like this spot for him, man. And Jimmy could play here, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see if he sat out. The market is moving towards the Celtics as well. It was at -2.5, 3 last night, up to 4, touching 4.5. I like the Boston Seas in this one, Rob. Could you talk me off?
Yeah, first off, I'll say this. My youngest son would absolutely love you for wearing a Mavs jacket. He's a big Mavs fan for a while now. So, yeah, kudos to you for having that Mavs hat. Right? Yeah, you talked about the triple overtime, and we'll get into Toronto later. That was a heck of a game. In Miami, this is the first of back-to-back, so I'm with you. They might pick and choose which game Jimmy Butler plays. Tomorrow night is the rematch against Toronto. So maybe you sit Jimmy tonight, you play him in the rematch because you just lost to that team. It's possible. But Miami's been sporadic with their lineup all season long, right? Somehow they're the number 1 seed, and they've had as much or as many different starting lineups as any team in the NBA this year. Eric Spoelstra, I don't vote for coach of the year, but certainly he's got to be considered. He's done a great job with this team. When they don't have, or when they didn't have Adebayo or Jimmy, they just become a 3-point shooting team, right? They just let those guys shoot. Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson go shoot, and they were winning games higher scoring. Here's the trouble I have with Boston. Not that I wouldn't play them here, and you said it. You said it's a step-up game for them. I felt like Friday night in Atlanta was a step-up game for them. Hawks were red hot. Boston was supposedly red hot, and the Hawks just put them away in the fourth. I think the final there wasn't even close. Atlanta wins rather today, and you read some quotes. And Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown both had big days yesterday, 38 and 31, I think, in that game. But the list of teams that they've beaten along the way, I'm just going to read them off here. Beat New Orleans in cover, beat Sacramento in cover, beat the Wizards in cover, lose straight up to Portland. Don't ask me how, but they did at home. Beat New Orleans again in cover, and beat the Bulls in the first game where Zach LaVine and Lonzo Ball didn't play. It's not an impressive list what they've done. However, the 2 games they needed to step up, Charlotte and Atlanta, they lost them both. Been a lot of talk about how the new head coach is trying to get them to share the basketball. It sticks too much to Jaylen. It sticks too much to Jason Tatum. And they, quotes I read this morning, talked about how they were a different team yesterday, sharing the basketball, and the 38 and 31 points came natural because the ball was moving and flowing very well. If they can play that way, Jay, that's a good roster. That's a really good roster. Whether or not they can step up and do it against this team who just seems to be tough in all circumstances, I'm not sure. I probably wouldn't lay it with Boston, but I'm not sure I would take it with Miami either because, as you mentioned, it's the day in between the triple overtime, but the back-to-backs here do scare me a little bit. Miami may be resting up for an effort tomorrow against Toronto. We'll see. That's always tough to predict, right? That's all guesswork. But that would scare me a little bit with the Heat.
As it should, Rob. And I'll be honest with you. I knew that they played the Raptors. I looked into this game, and I knew that they played the Raptors next. I'll be honest. I forgot that it was tomorrow, and it's the first game back to back. I'm just looking at it. You have a sandwich spot of of them having a revenge game the next game versus Toronto, and going to Toronto as well, if I'm not mistaken. So so they got to fly into Toronto. It's tough going through customs, all that good stuff. Extensive COVID protocols. I like this even more with the Heat having a game tomorrow. With this having a revenge spot, like I said, it'll be interesting to see if Jimmy plays today with the triple overtime game, and they probably didn't practice yesterday. How do you practice, man, after going a game like that? You got to give your guys the day off. Now, I'll be honest. This is, in theory, a revenge spot for the Heat versus the Celtics. What happened? The Heat laid 6.5 early this year, got smacked up by double digits versus the Celtics in Miami. And another thing, make it even better, the Celtics were playing like trash then. One thing I've noticed, I'm really starting to watch these teams and trying to figure out when they're starting to hit their stride. People on the show know I said this when Atlanta, we've probably been on them the first 5 games. The Hawks covered this 7-game stand. I had just noticed some of them flipping the switch. I noticed some with the Celtics in a lot of games as well. It's a little bit unfair. They were playing without Robert Williams III. They were playing without Marcus Smart a lot of time, or either one of them or both of them. Tatum's in and out of lineup. Brown's in and out of lineup. They're healthy right now, full squad. I think they're actually getting into an offensive groove. They did lose to the Hawks, but the Hawks are just red hot right now, especially at the house. With the Celtics already beating them this year when they were playing terrible at the house, that shows me they can stick with the Heat. They did have Lowry in their game. He won't be here. I don't care whether Jimmy plays or not. I'm laying the points with the Celtics tonight, man. Good luck to us, guys. We putting up the clovers, man. I like the Celtics in this one. No revenge game for the Heat. Maybe tomorrow, though. Let's go over here to the streets of Atlanta since we're talking about them here, Rob. 7-0 straight up, man, and against the spread last 7. Absolutely red hot. You do get a triple revenge spot for the Raptors off last year. They lost all 3 meetings, but it's tough for me to go against the Hawks right now. I agree. The money's coming in on the Raptors. They can hang with the Hawks team. We know Trae Young is still questionable. He's probably going to be questionable every game here, Rob. But do the Hawks keep streaking here, or do the Raptors start to put it together?
I kind of like what I'm seeing out of the Raptors, Jay. Something like what you're seeing out of Boston, right? And that's, the beauty of this business, sports handicapping, sports betting, is we try to see it before everybody else does because we can get the value if we see it early, right? You talk about Miami playing a lot of minutes. It's as if Nick Nurse is coaching a college team the way he shortened the lineup for that game. Can you imagine all 5 starters playing 53 minutes or more in that game and only using 3 bench guys in that entire game, triple overtime? I think it goes to show what he thinks of his rotation. He likes those 8 guys, and that's the way it's going to be for a while. Interesting quote out of him. He said that the last 2 weeks, he's gotten comment after comment from other team benches, from other players, from other coaches about how they want to know where the nastiness from the Raptors has come from. And Nick Nurse said, I like it that our guys have gotten a little bit nasty. They've gotten a little bit of a mean streak. He said, I don't know where they got it, but they have it. And when Fred VanVleet and Siakam and Anunoby and these guys, Gary Trent Jr., you attach a little bit of attitude to them, and that's a pretty good unit. That's a real good unit. I think that there's a huge battle, and it's still early, so I don't want to put too much emphasis on this, but that 8th and final playoff spot in the East between Toronto, Boston, and Atlanta, you got 1 game separating 3 teams. So prior game, you talked about the Celtics. It's really meaningful to them, probably much more meaningful than it is to the Heat, who sit at number 1. And here, for Toronto, very meaningful. They're the team that holds on to the 8th spot. They have to play Miami tomorrow, first up back-to-back. Thank goodness they had a day off yesterday to rest. But Atlanta played hard minutes in the 4th quarter yesterday. Really, they shouldn't have had to against a Lakers team that didn't put LeBron on the floor. But they had to outscore that team 38-20 in the 4th, use everything they got, and now they're coming back on back-to-backs, and I don't know that I trust them in this situation. Somehow they did flip a switch because the team chemistry was no good amongst these guys, right? You got a GM out there saying he's going to trade people. He blames himself for bringing this group back, and the cohesiveness just isn't there. They get rid of Cam Reddish, and I don't know that he was the total problem, but all of a sudden they win games without Cam Reddish, right? They're 6-0-1 against the spread last 7. I like the way they're playing. I just think again, much like the Boston game you just discussed, it's a situational play, the way I heard you. Very situational. And to me, this gets to be situational. Atlanta back-to-back off real hard minutes. They do have a couple days off after this game where Toronto doesn't. But I think the Toronto team comes in here with a little bit of purpose and a 8-man rotation. That seems to be the way the head coach wants it. So I'm going to look that way here in this game with Toronto. They haven't been successful against Atlanta. You talked about it, triple revenge spot. But I think Nurse likes the way his team is playing, so I'm going to roll with them.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'd like to be on the Hawks here. I've been on them a lot over this streak. Now you have them as at the rest disadvantage. I mean, which team really has more rest, right? Raptors coming out, at least they won the game. So it's a little bit more satisfying, in my opinion, when you're coming off a triple overtime win. Now you're like, all right, come on, let's go. We got some momentum here. Whereas the loss is deflating type of loss. So right. I'll be honest, I love the Hawks, especially on this homestand. But with them, like Rob mentioned, having to come back yesterday, expend even more energy versus the Lakers. You got the Raptors who are starting to surge as well, just like the Hawks. If they want to win, then if they really want to win one of these couple games, you really got to win this one, because tomorrow the Heat's going to be pissed and they got a shorter trip up there to Toronto as well. But obviously they're playing with no fans. So I don't know if the Raptors are ready to go back home. They probably want to stay on the road where they actually got fans in the crowd, even though it's opposing fans. They still rather there's just a more energy spot. Last time they came out, got smacked at the house. They talked about it being tough energy at the house. You got a point there, Rob. 56 minutes for Siakam, 56 for Scotty Barnes. Obviously, he's a young guy, but OG Anunoby, 55 minutes. Gary Trent Jr., 55. That's a ton of minutes, man. I can't get there with either side on this game. It's going to be a damn good one to watch. Like you say, the Hawks playing on the back-to-back. You got the Raptors 1 day of rest. Still off their triple overtime game. I'd like to say I lean the Raptors here. At least they had the day rest, and I see them getting the win today and possibly losing tomorrow here. So like to lean the Raptors. I probably won't be betting that game. Let's go over here to the streets of New York here, Rob. We got the Kings versus the Knicks. Knicks starting to trickle up to 6.5 now. We saw Julius Randle with some quote saying that he's not ready to leave New York, that he's trying to rebuild there. I don't know what to do with this game, man. The Kings, they showed some feistiness, right? Versus the 76ers, got up 15 points. Still end up losing the game by 2 points. Obviously, Halliburton went bonkers in that game, 38 points. He's the best player on the team. We know that Fox is still questionable here, so the line will move, obviously, based on that. But I think they're getting ready to trade Fox. They just don't want to have him injured. That's what it seems like to me, Rob. What do we do with this game? You like it, a total or anything in this one?
You know, there's a lot of talk that De'Aaron Fox would be dealt here to Philadelphia, which, again, we talked about Tyrese Maxey. That probably just stunts his development. I don't know that I would do that if I was Philadelphia, but that being what it is, I just went back real quick to see how Sacramento has been overall without De'Aaron Fox leading the team. And they played 8 games in the last 6 weeks without him. They're 1-7 straight up. 3-5 against the spread is a little better, right? 5-3 to the under. And the offense has only scored 105 or less in 6 of those 8 games. So the offense suffers. Everything seems to suffer without De'Aaron Fox, as good as Tyrese Halliburton has been, and as good as, you know, the future looks for him. Different team without this guy running the show. We'll see if he plays. I think he makes that much of a difference. Alvin Gentry was complimentary of his team Saturday night. He said if we could just only bottle that up and play that way every game, we'd be okay. Problem is they don't. Too many Buddy Hields and, Marvin Bagley the thirds on that team where you just can't count on them for consistency. But I can't count on the Knicks for it either. And if I'm Tom Thibodeau, I'm ripping every hair out of my head this year with this team. They made some moves where they traded defense or let defense go in favor of offense. And most specifically, Kemba Walker, who as a UConn guy I love, but Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier just aren't defensive guys. And this is a defensive head coach that can't get this team to play that way consistently. This could be a game that goes up and down if Fox plays, but I'm not sure that he's going to, Jay. I don't like either side, tell you the truth. I don't like the current form of either team. I don't know, as the head coach of Sacramento, Alvin Gentry said, I don't know that you can consistently count on them to give you a good defensive effort. The Knicks could go up and score 118 tonight. So I think if De'Aaron Fox plays, I'd probably look over. But otherwise, it's just a game where, there's no reason to bet every game, right? You can just throw that one in the garbage and let her go.
This is an absolutely uninspiring game for me, man. It's Knicks or nothing for me here. That's the only way I can look. I know that the Kings had a really good outing in Philadelphia, but I'm not looking to back this team. I say they did at least show some, at least that they cared about playing basketball. You talk about streaky players, man. I've never seen one like Buddy Hield. I've never seen a guy that could look so bad one night and go for 30 points the other night. So guy think he's Steph Curry, man. I've seen so many times he step back, make sure he's behind the line for 3 points. I don't know. I don't know what to do with guys like Buddy Hield. That's the new age of the NBA right there. But Knicks, they are 7-2 straight up and against the spread last 9 games with 2 days rest this season. Right. So this is their role. Like got some time to look at those 3 losses and say that they got to come back here. So the Knicks, in theory, should smack these guys up. They're in need of a win. They're in need of a confidence boosting opponent as well. And that's what they get versus the Kings here. So if the Knicks want to come out and smack these guys up, they can. That's the only way that I'd look in this one. Next game up, man. Not much for me here, Rob. We got the Blazers versus the Thunder. I just know that I'm not looking to back the Thunder. Obviously, this team is not trying to win games. SGA, whether he's actually hurt or not, he's probably not hurt enough to be out through the All-Star break. That just tells me this Thunder they're doing what they do. Basically, sit guys out. And Lou Dort's going to be next. Just basically saying we'll put out this B team, try to develop the young guys, not really trying to win. Could they on accident? Yeah, they could. Blazers on a back-to-back, but that's the only way I could look in this one, Rob.
Yeah, Sam Presti has about 37 first-round picks through 2029, but what good does it do him right now, right? I'm with you. I can't even look at Oklahoma City without SGA. He's been so good this year. As you mentioned, whether or not the ankle is as bad as being out all the way through the All-Star break, we won't know. But they did do this last year. You're absolutely right. One right after the other, they started to sit for the remainder of the season to play for more lottery balls, ping pong balls. I don't know. Portland's a difficult team to play right now, simply because they just don't play enough defense, but they have gotten pieces back. Everybody really except Damian Lillard. It's a shame Nasir Little, right? I think he's gone for the year with that torn labrum. That really hurts them as well. This is a game where you really, really, Jay, if you're me, you really, really have to convince yourself to play something here. So when you get into that state of mind, don't play at all. That's the end of the story. SGA, no go for me on OKC, and I will wait on Portland a little bit. I don't even think I could touch total here, tell you the truth, because Oklahoma City, one day they shoot really well. The next 4 days they shoot really crooked. It's more crooked than straight. So I don't know. I just can't find any way to play that game.
Yeah, I'm with you. One thing I would look at in this one, I think Josh Giddey's going to go bonkers in this one. You look at him without SJ in there. Giddey can ball, guys. One thing we notice of watching basketball, this guy is like a little Magic Johnson or something out there. He's running and gunning, really good passing skills, guys. So don't be a bit surprised to see Josh Giddey go over his assists tonight. Points, rebounds, assists, all that. He'll be in playing a bunch of the game, even if they're getting blown out. He's probably going to be the starting point guard for this team tonight. I'd like him to go over his assists, PRA. I really do think that he's live to go for a triple-double tonight. So we'll see what happens in that one. But like you said, Rob, the Blazers getting back healthy now. They got McCollum back. Still got Robert Covington out there. Powell, Anthony Simons. I have to give him his credit because I came on here the past couple years and just trashed this guy. The guy is absolutely balling right now. I look for Anthony Simons as well to go bunkers in this game. So Blazers, the only way I could look in there, and it's actually pretty simple. Last game up, Rob, we got the Warriors here versus the Rockets. Minus 11 down to 10.5. What? That's crazy. What? Rockets taking money here? They are the home dog. They are the much more rested team as well. They also have a revenge spot. They almost beat the Warriors not too long ago. Obviously, with the Warriors taking the game serious, probably not, but Rockets still almost beat them. It went down. I believe that was the game that Steph Curry had to hit the game-winning shot as well. Right. Warriors 1-5 against the spread last 6 road games. Do they win this game and blow out? This is also another team, Rob. First game of a back-to-back.
Yeah, and real quick, I mean, what a great point. And I just want to reinforce it on Josh Giddey. As a guy who grew up a Sonics fan, and, you know, in this business, we're unbiased. You can't let your fandom carry into who you bet. But still, the Thunder, when I don't have an interest in the game, is my team. And Josh Giddey, to your point, stat sheet filler, all the categories, right? I mean, he's a rebounder at point guard. He's everything. So I had to write that down as soon as you said it. I don't play a lot of props, but Josh Giddey's something I might get involved with here tonight because he's going to be the guy, right? He's going to be the guy. This game right here, boy, I never know how serious the Warriors are going to take a team like this. That 105-103 game last week that you just talked about kind of describes how they feel about, playing a team like the Rockets. We don't know. They've added Otto Porter Jr. to the list of out for this game, which doesn't help offensively. Andrew Wiggins has been really, really good. But if Belicia doesn't go, there's a lot of front line players missing. Not that Houston's got a dominant front line, but Christian Wood, if you're looking at props, might be a way to go here when you're without Porter Jr., when you're without Draymond, when you're without Iguodala, possibly Belicia. But the Golden State backcourt, Clay and Steph, along with Wiggins, could win this game on their own. Kevin Porter Jr. is huge. Just want to say here real quick that Stephen Silas, the head coach of Houston, admitted last game that without Kevin Porter Jr. running the show, they get a little disheveled. And it's because Jalen Green right now, Jalen Green is kind of one of those players where when he's really good, he's really good. And when he's really bad, you realize he's 19, 20 years old because the coach said it. He doesn't run the team the way Porter Jr. does. They get out of position, or they were out of position way too much last game with him running the show. So, Kevin Porter Jr. is meaningful here. Houston, I've had one mantra all season long, and that is I play Rocket games over, or I just don't play them, period. 229 and a half. If Golden State wants to come out and put a shooting display on, they can. These Houston games, Jay, and you cover this every day, but I mean, the tempo is insane with these guys. And I know Silas said at the start of the year, we're going to play fast, shoot fast. And, as a bettor, I love it because I can count on there to be so many potential points, so many shots at the rim in Houston games that you can get over these numbers. They play little to zero defense. I would look over if I looked any direction, especially off of the 105-103. That's only 208. And I know Golden State's been really good defensively this year, but the interest level in a game like this, not so sure. It could be one of those where they say, hey, listen, we were close with these guys last time. Let's put them away fast and be done with them. And that would lead you to some first half stuff if you really wanted to look into that angle.
Yeah, that's a damn good point. I'll be honest. I didn't look at it that way just because in all honesty, it's really what I'm starting to figure out. These guys do not care about the regular season, man. Like, we really are. Like, this is treacherous waters, to be honest with you. Obviously, you find your spots or whatever, but in a game like this versus a team with the Rockets, and I always wonder what I'm going to get from the Rockets. Will they play a Super Bowl type of game and really get up, or will they just go out there and play basketball, as I say? They're just out there hooping, running, gunning. Obviously, these guys are millionaires. They're like, oh, okay, we know we're going to lose today. Let's just go out here and hoop. And sometimes the Rockets do that. But like I say, when they step up, they can almost beat the Warriors as well. So they do have the major rest advantage here. The Warriors, they're on the first game of a back-to-back. They hadn't necessarily been good on the road the past 6, like I say, 1-5 against the spread. I'm not laying 10.5, 11 points with the Warriors here. It's Rockets or nothing. I'm probably staying away, but in all honesty, I could see the Rockets competing here. I see Christian Wood is off of the injury report. Kevin Porter Jr. still game time decision coming off of the little quarantine, whatever. Belicia, game time decision, probably not going to play for the Warriors. Still Draymond out. Iguodala's out. No Otto Porter Jr. tonight as well. So obviously the Warriors, with their young guys, they could still go and blow this team out of the water if they wanted to. It's just, is the motivation going to be there, right? Why would you just beat them already? It's not like you lost the game. So obviously they didn't cover the spread, but it's Rockets or nothing for me. Likely staying away, Rob. We're going to get into some free NBA picks, man. First, I want to let you guys know, go check out WagetTalk. It's $9 Mondays. You can get any package over there, even if you've already signed up. For everybody, $9 Mondays over there at WagetTalk, and also have a special promo code for watching this show, my guys.
Have you ever checked out all the new handicappers at WagerTalk? If not, here's your chance. All NBA Talk with J Money viewers who are new to WagerTalk can get a one-day all-access pass to the handicapper of their choice for only $1 versus a regular price of $39 using coupon code J1 when checking out. Our new roster of experts is 25 deep, covering sports from around the world, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem this offer is be a first-time WagerTalk customer. Go to WagerTalk.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, use coupon code J1 when checking out on a one-day all-access pass, and get a full day of picks for only $1.
Man, go use that promo code J1, man. Get you a full package of plays for only $1. I believe it works over that sports memo as well. So if you've never used it, put that promo code in, get a full package of plays, even Rob's plays for $1 here, Rob. Anything you liking today on today's card?
I'll go back to one of the games we talked about earlier, Jay. I think the Clippers in Indiana just screams over to me. I know it's been played up a little bit. You're not getting the best of the overnight, which was 218.5, but still at 221, it seems like there's a lot of room. A lot of the stuff you mentioned applies here to me, especially the fact that LA is on the very tail end of a grueling road trip, and that's usually where defense just goes by the wayside. But Justice Winslow talking about how they're having fun offensively and against an Indiana defense. It's funny to think that that's a Rick Carlisle team out there playing defense, because that's just not his MO. But Indiana scored big lately. I mentioned all the numbers. So give me over 221 Clippers, Indiana.
I cannot talk you off a Pacers game over right now. One of these teams might score 221 on their own, man. So we did see Zubac questionable today. Obviously, if he doesn't play, that only helps the over out even more. Less size, more small ball. They'll probably run Morris at the 5. So that definitely would bode well for your over there, Rob. Couldn't talk you off, man. I like the Celtics today. Celtics -4. I'll go official. I did bet -3 earlier today, but I'll put a little something on the -4 just to go with my guys. This is a total Celtics spot for me. I see a step up type of game. I see a playoff atmosphere down there in Boston tonight. They already beat the Heat earlier this season when they were playing terrible basketball at 6.5-point underdogs. I believe on the back-to-back that night as well. They were in terrible form. Still came up there and smacked them by double digits with Kyle Lowry. Now they won't have Lowry. Likely no Jimmy Butler as well, but we'll see what happens. He could play. They do have a revenge game versus the Raptors tomorrow. I do see them maybe having some eyes on that one here versus Celtics. Celtics sitting number 9th right now in the East. This is almost not a must-win game, but it's definitely a step-up spot. They've been losing these type of games. I do think they'll get there today, man. The offense is starting to roll. Heavy lean to the Grizzlies as well. I'm not betting them at the -3.5. Heavy lean to the Pacers. Is more of a Clippers dead zone type of spot. Third game in 4 nights, 5th and 7, back-to-back, all on the road. Last game of 8-game road trip. And that's it, man. That's it. Lean the Knicks as well. Kings also last game of 5-game road trip, man. That's the show today, man. I appreciate this. My guy, Rob Veno, man. Hopefully we get him here every Monday. Try to get some cash. I love the way that he looks at these games. He's a total guy as well. That's what we need more on this show. Go follow him on Twitter at Rob Veno Sports. You can follow me as well at JMoneyIsMoney. Let's get some cash, guys. Hit the like button, subscribe. We out.